What's shaking and baking, people? It has been a hot minute since we did up a video. Been busy, haven't really scored a lot of new stuff, been really busy, but I've had the Trilogy XL 40 for a hot minute now, and it is an excellent tank. Excellent tank. However, for me, it's got some cons. It's got some cons. The airflow, I wish there was a lot more of it. The build deck has plenty of room. It does. The build deck has plenty of room. But the capacity is kind of meh. So we're going to tinker with this a little bit. We're going to tinker with it. We're going to rebuild it. And we're going to discuss some things. So to give it more capacity, you take it apart. And inside of there, inside your box of extras, you're going to find this threaded adapter. Albeit the threaded adapter goes to your chimney section, makes it taller so that you can run the taller glass. Pretty straightforward stuff. Packaging's all good, lots of extras. I like that the screws are flathead, so they don't strip out. Always make sure when you're swapping your stuff, it's lubricated up real nice. I don't know what that is. Okay. So, Shazam. 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 Make it taller. Hold a little bit more fluid. For me, I kind of like the short because it puts the coils really close to your mouth. So, I'm going to opt. 1 second. If you're ever removing stuff with threads, have a junk pair of nylons. Come out. Okay, well, that's just being stubborn. Sweet. Okay, another con. Wow. So we've got it on. But now we can't get it off. So it looks like we're going to stay with it. We're going to stay with the profile. Tall it is. Even tall is really not tall. Profile of this thing I actually really like. Very compact for 40 mil. My original build, super mega chungus, 10 wrap 5 mil stags. Way too much coil. Way too much both in diameter, too much in wraps. 9 wrap at 4.5 mil would be much more optimal. It's still a lot of coil, but we're going to replace a lot of coil with a lot of coil, but more purpose in mind. So what we've got is I just spun some 6-core staggereds. So I've got 29 by 40 times 6 and 80. We're going to do dual coil, and I'm hoping to fit 5 wraps per side. I made a lot more material than I needed, but that's okay. think 5 wrap is going to be quite snug. We're going to see here. 5 by 26, man. Or 6 by 29. Sorry. It's a lot of meat. A lot of meat. Okay, let's see. Perfect. Perfect. Let's wrap the other one. When I do the install and everything, we're going to get a close-up. Get a close-up of it. But, yeah, a little bit more talk on the Trilogy XL. It's a great tank. It really is. I know people that are running as small as 3.5 mil duals. Then there's myself running massive stuff. But tighter airflow. Obviously, if you're running 3.5 mil duals, you're getting a lot more airflow than I was at 5. So, versatile tank. By no means am I saying put it on a stack series or a stack tube. But nope. Of course, unless it flushes a 40. I don't know of many that do. So, there we are. Nice big 6-core staggereds. Okay, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna get those installed. So, hold up. All right, and we're back. So, got our deck ready, got our coils wrapped. Now, we're going to use our cut tool to cut. And the post holes are super deep on these. Super deep. So I'm going to go 5.5 mil for starters. Because I don't remember what I did when I was running 5mm coils. We're going to cut one, just drop it in and see. Okay, we're bottomed out. We're good. I'm going to do this one just the same. You always want to make sure that you have enough meat down into the post for the screws to grab onto. You don't want to cut them short. I'm doing my leg bends to the outside, just because it's usually how I roll. Okay, quick placement. She's set in. Get rid of our scraps before we make a mess. Okay, now this is the point where coils can get warped. They get warped because a lot of people don't put a mandrel in them when they tighten them down. So, we've got my trusty bit that I used to wrap on. We actually had room to do a 7-core here, but I wanted to get that 5th wrap in there. If we did 7-core, we would have been limited to 4 for sure. So there we go. We're going to pretty that up after we tighten this side down. Always make sure to, when you're tightening down legs, use a proper driver. Don't use a little blue tool that's included with some Chinese atomizer. Use a proper electronics little hobby grade screwdriver with a proper bit. Okay. What I'm doing is just kind of pulling them up a little bit, just to get my wraps to stack all nice and neat, because 29 has a lot of spring. I'm going to center them up, tip them in towards my airflow, not too much, just some. Eyeball them, try and get them level. Okay, quick glance. Our coils are almost perfectly level, parallel on the deck, centered at the airflow, a little bit of space in between. I think we're perfect. So, that being said, it's time to fire. We're going to turn this baby way down. We're going to start at 20 watts. We don't want to speed this process up whatsoever. This will take time. See, we're starting to get a bronze color now. If you go too fast through this step, that's how, when you see some builds and they're just so vibrant in color, it's because people took the time to break them in. Nice and low, slowly introducing heat. You can watch them start to go through that color change. And hopefully by the time we're done, we're going to retain a beautiful blue. We've been firing for a sec. We're going to go into our settings, atomizer. We're going to remeasure just to make sure we're firing where we want to be. That's another hack too. Sometimes these DNA 250Cs are finicky. They don't want to fire atomizer short, all this stuff. Make sure you go in and constantly remeasure your resistance on your builds. Otherwise, you can get super duper frustrated with all of this. We're going to go up to 35 watts now. Starting to see the presence of a hot spot, right exactly where I knew it would be. On these types of decks, you're always going to see your hot spots at the end, where your coil touches the leg, making contact in the post. Starting to get a nice blue. Look at that. Look at that. That's pretty. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Quality materials is key. My gosh, that is obnoxiously beautiful. So with 40 gauge on my wraps, I don't like to strike the tops of my coils unless I absolutely have to. I will rub the inside so that they stay nice and purty. It also works very well, to be honest. Okay. We're going to remeasure at this point. We were coming in at a 0.09. We're now coming in at a 0.13, which honestly is much closer to where our final resistance is going to land. we're going to go from 35 right up to 80. Now, we're not going to hold the fire button so much. We're going to do little 1 second pulses. While we're doing that, we're checking the sides of the build, like right there. And right there. This is when your hot spots are going to start really showing up. With ceramic tweezers, it's okay to hit the fire button while you're strumming. Don't do it with anything metal. I'm not sure what'll happen. I'm not sure if it'll weld to the coil or if it'll zap you. I really don't know. Just don't do it. Don't be that guy. Okay, we're going to remeasure again before we move up. Up to 0.14. I really don't think it's going to get much higher than that. We're going to jump up to 120 watts. I expect that we're going to have to take these up to a pretty decent number wattage wise before we actually get all the hot spots out. Just because it is a relatively large chunk of wire. But I currently don't see any hot spots. The goal with the light pulses, the short pulses, is to not weld your coils. That's why we're doing these nice little bumps. We're now sitting at 175 watts. Short pulses, little strums. Everything's looking really, really good. Okay, blocked ourselves out. I do that often. It's okay. We want to go up in wattage again. We're going to go up to 225 now. We're going to lock that in. Go into settings, atomizer, remeasure. Yep, we're teetering now back down to a 0.13. So 0.14, 0.13 is where this build's going to land. You can see our response time now when we hit the fire button is really, really quick. Even shorter pulses, but all the while, no hot spots. And because we didn't get our coils cherry red or white red, we still have this nice blue, bronzish hue going on. We didn't lose all of our color. It's not as vibrant as it was at 35 watts. However, it's also not completely gone away. We're going to do one final walk around here at 300 watts. We are absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect, and we are ready to wick these bad boys up. Before we do, I want to bring up one talking point, so hold on one sec. Okay, so while this is cooling down, what I wanted to talk about right now is if this was a build for an NLPWM device, like such, it would be at this point that I would take this build deck and I would put it on my NLPWM and I would start all over from the beginning. I would start at 30 watts. I would look for hot spots. I'd work my way up. I'd work my way up and up and up and up. You may not see anything, but you're probably going to see new hotspots form. The reason being is a 4S DNA 250C is only capable of putting down a maximum input voltage of 10 volts. Your NLPWM is sending 16.8 that's being dialed back to whatever you're asking from it. So it is modulating 16.8 volts to give you an output. That increase in voltage often makes hotspots come back out. So you get a build together, you're ready to go, you broke it in on a regulated device, you wick it up, you slap it on your NO PWM, and the first pull you take, you hear a loud hum followed with burnt taste and an awful crackly sound. You take your stuff apart to find that you have a welded coil. That's why. I don't want to say it's a misstep because there's no handbook for this stuff. But in my book, it's a misstep. It doesn't happen every time. But I can guarantee you, if you take that PWM build off your regulated and put it on an NLPWM and start all over again from low wattage up to high wattage, you're going to ensure that when you do wick it and you put it together, you're not going to have a hot spot. Because let's face it, nobody wants to put something together to have to take it back apart and potentially ruin a set of coils. It's not fun. Okay, let's wick this now. Alrighty, so we're back, ready to wick. I use Muji pads. I cut these for 4.5 millimeter coils. If we measure them out, we're sitting right at 5/8 of an inch wide. We're gonna go ahead, get rid of our outer layer. Little pull, break up the fibers on the inside. Okay, sliding through nicely. If you feel it's too much resistance or that you're absolutely wrecking your build trying to put your cotton in, you have way too much. Way too much. Take it out, peel some off. Try it again. Good there, we're good there. Okay, got our cotton in. Now, where to cut? Where to cut? So, this one is super easy. Down on the base here, you have threading for your chimney, then you have your deck, where it all meets. I cut right at the base of my threads, where that lip is. So not down here, not up here, right there at that bottom thread. You can take whatever you use to cut, set it right there. Snippy, snippy. Take your other one and eyeball it. Snippy, snippy. Follow suit over here. Some guys just are like, oh, I just, cut it and tuck it, and sure. But if you're looking for a repeatable process that's the same every single time, having a benchmark to measure your tails from is ideal. Now with this, what I do is I take a little spade cut off the corners, only because the juice flow ports are a little more narrow than your wicks are wide. So I don't want to absolutely stuff them. I want a little room. These fucking things. Sorry. These cut. Chill. Okay. Now we're going to break it up a little bit. Now, mind you, this tank kept up just fine with 5mm coils, so I'm not really looking to thin, just looking to fluff it on up here. Get your fluff game on. Come at it from the bottom. Go all crazy with the Cheese Whiz. Take that, peel it off. We're going to repeat the same over here. There we go. I like it. Tartar. We're going to eyeball it before we put it in. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, now, all we're going to do, gently take our wicks, place them down into our wicking ports. Now you see where I made that cut? Right there. That's why I got rid of that. Otherwise it'd just be like overburden that you're stuffing in there, trying to find room for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just not pack it in there, but gently kind of up and downsies. Ups and downsies on it. Like so. And then I come from behind it and just slightly pull it up. Show you what I'm looking for here. I want right here at the bottom of that wick port to be able to go straight through. So there's cotton there. So if I go up to the top, I hit cotton, but at the bottom, I can go straight to the back wall. That tells me that that cotton is in the wicking port. It's doing what it needs to do, but it's floating, suspended, so there's a little cavity for juice right in this area. I don't want to say there's a science to this, but there's a knack to it. There's a science to it, okay? When you get it right and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. How do I make sure I do this every single time? It's being very mindful of every little step. Every little step. Okay, we're in like Flynn. Slight little pull, triturge, and straight to the back, straight to the back. That's what we're looking for. Okay, wicking up Trilogy XL, built up Trilogy XL. Need to get some juice. Hit it with some juice. Right. So we're going to come back into our menu here, and we're going to turn that way down from 300. Okay. Okay, everything's looking good. We're going to put it together, take some pulls. Alrighty, we're back up top. Got her setting pretty on my A3K DNA 250C, built by Frankenbox. Stuffed a 2000 4S max amps in here. So plenty of battery life. It looks tough as fuck because it's a nice little stubby gunmetal on gunmetal. I did get the chimney section off and opted for the bubble because it just looks tough as fuck. Only thing I don't have for it, and it's another con for me, is the fucking drip tip. It's huge. It's huge. It's the same size as the Hive, which requires different tips. You can't put an 810 in it. For me, that's a con. There's no juice flow control on this. So, your wicking game has to be on point. Otherwise, bad stuff happens. If you're paying a top premium for juice, there's a strong chance that you don't want it running out of your airflow. Follow this wicking, you won't have that issue. You can see our little bubbles. Glub, glub, glubs. Glub, glub, glubs. Build is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm setting a 0.13, 5.5 volts, 225 watts. I'm not sure what my boost is set on. Normally I don't run boost. My boost is on, it's at 0. With 29 gauge cores, honestly, you don't need any boost. Dial it in by wattage, makes it so much easier. Take it up to 250. Now the reason why this is such a phenomenal flavor addy is down inside of there, which you can't see, are the coils. The coils are literally 3/8 to a ½ inch away from your mouth. It's like vaping an RDA. But you got this big, tough looking tank sitting up top. Vape quality is phenomenal. Granted, builds help. Builds are everything. Let's not sugarcoat it. If you get something like this and you're running round wire in it, you're not getting anywhere near close to what these are designed for. Something intricate, multi-core staggered, multi-core alien for a DNA device, a properly built build for an LPWM if you're running on an LPWM. We're now up to 300. Still keeping up just fine. 330. Still keeping up just fine. Man, that flavor is just right in the teeth. 375. Starting to stretch the legs. I built this with the intent on being able to run under 400, but being able to support all of 400. So, sitting at 400 max pull. I'm not sure what we're putting down for voltage. It doesn't matter. It's below the voltage cap, which is 0.25, 0.27. She straight up gets it. Straight up gets it. No leaks, no weeps, no nothing. Just run it. I'm going to turn it back down. Set at 265. Be able to take a longer pull. Maybe we'll go up to 280. Just like that, dialed in. 280 watts, absolutely perfect. Solid. So if you guys don't have a Trilogy XL, if you're on the bench about it, if you want to pick one up, I think they're around 85 secondhand, $90 secondhand. It's a great tank. If you're into collecting big tanks, I absolutely feel that this one has a place. If you've got a DNA that you want a big tank on, you want something to chill where you don't have to run a buttload of wattage to, Trilogy XL. All in all, it's a great tank. So, thanks. Peace.